Welcome to the Low Country Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Bellott, founder of Veritas Exercise, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I would like to welcome Jon Stroud. Jon is an Indiana native and a Purdue University graduate. He tells people why he's not originally from Charleston, he got here as quick as he could. Me too. Having been in real estate for 21 years, Jon has a proven track record earning accolades such as a Realtor of Distinction and staying in the top 4% of producing realtors for several years. Welcome, Jon. How you doing today?
Wonderful, Bill. Thanks so much for having me on your podcast. This is fun.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm in the same situation as you, Jon. I'm not originally from Charleston. I got here in 2021. Even though I've got a lot of connections with Charleston over the years, this is the first time kind of living in this area. So what brought you from the wintry state of Indiana all the way down here to Charleston 20-something years ago now, it sounds like?
Yeah, no, actually, I've been here since 97.
Okay.
So 28 years.
Wow.
My family is all from Eastern North Carolina. So growing up, I always loved coming south, especially during the Christmas time, because there wasn't snow on the ground most of the time around Christmas.
Oh, nice.
First snow, as you know, is always really beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's
yes.
the long-term snow sitting on the side of the road in February
Yes.
that you're like, totally over that.
Yes, yeah.
And I really did not want to live and raise my family. I wanted to be in a warmer climate. So we started in Raleigh, North Carolina. I moved to Wilmington, North Carolina. To make a long story short, hooked up with the Walmart Corporation for a little
nice.
while. That's where I cut my management teeth
Yeah.
and moved around there. Eventually got into human resources, and I came to Charleston for a human resources job with a company called Cameron and Barkley, which was a big industrial electrical distribution company, and did general HR for that. So I like to tell people I'm a recovering HR manager. So
That's so funny.
That's where I developed a lot of my people skills and love of people was in HR.
Well, it's I have a very close person to me who's in HR right now, and HR goes one or two ways. You either keep loving people or you learn to hate people.
Listen, if this podcast was longer, I would tell you some really funny stories.
Well,
I've got
next
some good
time,
ones, that's for sure.
Because I want to get to. I know you're excited about this because you were telling me before we started. Not just real estate, but you're trying to help people understand real estate because you've written a new book. So tell me about this. It sounds exciting.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I have written a new ebook. So let me jump back real quick and tell you where it came from. I was working with a gentleman by the name of Chris McNeil, Thought Leadership, and we were developing my thought leadership position in the real estate because one of my favorite jokes is I got pulled over by a cop the other day and he asked me for my real estate license and my registration. And I said, "Don't you need my driver's license?" And he said, "No, not everybody has one of those."
Oh, wow.
There are a lot of realtors in the Charleston area. So what makes Jon Stroud different? Why am I different than other realtors? And so we were developing that as a thought. What makes me the thought leader in my genre.
Right.
And what kept coming up was two things. One was I'm very good at helping people manage the emotional process because real estate, let's be honest, especially residential real estate, can be a very emotional process.
Right.
You're buying something or selling something that is your largest asset. And so it can become very emotional. And sometimes over something as small as $100 repair can become so emotional where one says, "I'm not fixing it." And the buyer says, "Well, I'm not buying the home then." And you think to yourself, really, over $100? I mean, I'll give you the $100. But the idea is managing the emotion and helping people talk through that to help them understand that $100 is really not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And I love being the strategic thought leader in that and helping people manage that emotion. And the other thing that came up was that I am very in tune with and love to talk with people about their lifestyle.
Right.
In other words, let's be strategic about navigating real estate at a higher level. Let's talk about what is the lifestyle choice that you're making here?
True.
Because if you tell me that it's very, very important for you to be close to water, yet you're looking at homes, say, in Ridgeville, South Carolina, which is a wonderful place. I'm not saying that's a negative, but those two things don't align, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of driving to get your boat in water.
Exactly. And so talking where, preparation, timing, relationships, really good decision making are better than the hype of the real estate, right? You can find a lot more home, let's say, in Ridgeville for the money, because as you get closer to the ocean, the price per square foot is going to go up. Yet if the lifestyle you're choosing matters more than the amount of square footage you have, maybe you choose a home that's a little smaller because you want to be closer. You want to be able to drive over a body of water every day.
Right.
And so the book was written, The Great Game of Real Estate was written. And what I'd like to tell people is if I do a great job in helping somebody buy, sell, or invest in real estate, at the end of that process, we get 2 winners. And really 4 winners if you think about the 2 agents as well. But really our focus is on our clients, the buyer and the seller. When you can sit down at that closing table and both of them look at each other and say, this was an amazing experience. Thank you for treating me well. Thank you for not being, a jerk in this process. I really enjoyed this. That is a gratifying experience also for the realtors, because what that tells me is we helped manage the expectations. We helped them manage and strategically manage their emotions. And we brought a lot of value to that process. And that let's agree with the fact that we get paid on our value.
Sure.
The more value we bring, the more pay we tend to grow.
Yeah.
So we've created a game, and I love that. And if people go, do you mind if I shamelessly self-promote the website?
Yes.
If you go to the just greatgameofrealestate.net and register, you can get the ebook for free. It's a PDF download. It'll be a lot of fun. And you can see how we start from the game of clarifying what you want, finding that top agent, getting a pre-approval, going through the lending, pre-approval process, the property search, showing the homes, negotiating, going through the due diligence inspections, going through the lending and title search with the attorney process, then closing the deal. And then I also add a bonus chapter called Investor Strategy. So it's just a strategic way of helping people think about that lifestyle-driven real estate transaction. So thank you for letting me shamelessly plug my book.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I've bought and sold a few homes myself, and
awesome.
I can tell you it is a process. It can be a lot of times it can be overwhelming. It can be numbing. It's like, especially when you get down to like reviewing paperwork and signing paperwork, and you end up like, you feel like you're just signing pages and you don't even know what you're signing yourself up to. And then, the scary thing is like when you start writing, back in the old days, you write a paper check. You're writing a paper check, and they're starting to get like more than 1 or 2 zeros on there, and you're like, holy cow,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's be honest, real estate is an expensive venture right now. I always look at real estate, though, as an investment. Yeah. Even when you're buying a primary residence, I always talk to my clients about it being I mean, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I actually did have one. It's still in the shop. I can't get that darn thing back.
Yeah.
So
they don't give them back once they go in the shop.
Nah, they never give them back. But I can't predict the future, but we can sit down and talk about risk.
Right.
And, is it a good risk? And I think overall in Charleston, buying a home is a good risk. But then you look at it in terms of, are you in the school district you want to be
Oh,
in?
yeah.
Are you in a neighborhood that has wonderful amenities? Those are the things that help a home be a great investment down the road.
Right.
And that's really what we talk about. And so I like to think long-term strategy when it comes to that kind of thing. I have never lost money on real estate with the exception of one deal I bought at 100% back in, you remember 2005?
Oh, I remember
Yeah,
very vividly.
yeah, 2008. I ended
I
up
remember the
losing money
housing
on that
bubble,
deal.
like a lot of people. We got caught in it. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, but in overall, I've been very blessed to make money in real estate because of buying things in areas that are growth areas, growth neighborhoods, and that kind of stuff. And that's how I focus with my clients as well.
Nice.
And Bill, you said something earlier that made me think, even someone like you who has bought and sold homes before, I should never, and I never assume that you know everything about the transaction.
No.
I had a gentleman who had bought and sold many homes in the past, selling a $2.5 million home, buying a $2.7 million home,
Right.
who still asked me questions about, like, one question, he basically said, "What's next?"
Yeah.
And I thought to myself at first, what do you mean, what's next? You should know this process. And I had that epiphany that, that's the value that a good realtor can bring, is to help them answer those questions. And I kind of looked at it as a failure when he had to ask me what's next. Is, darn, I failed him. I should have already told him what's next.
Yeah.
Hey, great, we're at this point. Here's what's coming next.
Yeah.
And so
it's something like, even if you've done it a few times, it's like, from a buy, if I'm a buyer or a seller, even if I've done 4, 5, 6 houses, I don't do it every day. And I don't
right.
live in the business every day. And like one of the things I wanted, this is not supposed to be a gotcha question. I'm just super curious about this because of the changes going on.
Please, come on.
Which is, so one of the reasons we bought our house where we bought our house was because of the schools. We still have a school age child, and that was a key consideration besides a lot of other things, but that was like kind of key. And one of the things that's happening across the country, not just here in South Carolina, but across the country, is school choice. And, is that going to lead where, buying a house where you buy a house doesn't matter as much as far as like being in school districts? Or is that a separate kind of thing? I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking. Have you guys explored that?
Well, that's a very good question. So let me give you the real quick legal answer to that question is as a realtor and being a licensed realtor in the state of South Carolina, I cannot and will not steer somebody in a direction, because if somebody says, where are the great schools? If I were to push them towards some school, that might be a discriminatory issue.
Exactly. Right.
Now, there are plenty of websites to which we can say, hey, go to, if you want to live, for instance, in Mount Pleasant, and you want to know which schools are better, you can go to the Charleston County website, look up the schools, see what their ratings are, see what the parents are saying about those schools, and do your own research. And they have to do that. I can't say, well, this school is better than that school. That would be sort of like saying, this is where all the old people live. This is where all the young people live. That is something I cannot do and would never do. One, because I probably wouldn't know anyway. But to answer your question I think you absolutely are right that school choice or the homeschooling option, private school option, some of the schools that have been opened up, the charter schools that are allowing people more option, you're right. And then it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Then it really is fully about your lifestyle.
Right.
Because if you tell me I'm a real foodie, I want to be where the restaurants are. I want to be able to get in my golf cart and drive to local restaurants, or I want to be within 20 minutes of downtown because I love the downtown scene. I've had people buy in Charleston because they were big music people. They love the music scene of the downtown. They love the Charleston Music Hall, the Coliseum, all of those things, and they wanted to live in proximity to where it was always less than a half an hour to go to all the concerts. It was crazy, but that was their lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think you are right. I think school choice and charter schools and all this will make where you live and what neighborhood you choose less of an issue. Yet we still have to look at it in terms of what neighborhoods are in areas that are, say, like if you tell me that you want to be close to water, then that's going to be important to you.
You're right.
So,
yeah,
and I love the water. My wife and I have a boat, and so I have been really focused on the water lifestyle of the Charleston area, and I really love that about Charleston. I tell people one of the blessings that I get is every single day I drive over at least one large body of water, whether it be one of our big rivers or going over the Ravenel Bridge downtown.
Yeah.
I just love the fact as I drive over. I'm so drawn to it. I'm afraid I'm going to hit somebody.
That's funny. Hey, let me ask you another question. So, your book has all these different parts of the game, which is great. I want to see it. I haven't looked at it yet, but I want to see it and look through this. But, one of the things that's happening here in Charleston, I think it's becoming a pain point for a lot of people. It's like traffic because of the number of people that have moved down into this area and just natural growth. How do you guys address that in the book, or how is that being addressed right now from just a real estate perspective? Because, like you said, when you were telling your story about living in near downtown Charleston, it's like, I want to be within 30 minutes. Well, 30 minutes has changed over the last 10 years about how far away 30 minutes is, right?
So true. So true. So to answer your question, the book, no, we don't get into as detail oriented as that. It would be more in the section about clarifying what you want. That would be one of the conversations that we would have.
Oh, cool.
Is as part of your lifestyle. Now, it's been really interesting how many clients I've had recently who work from home.
Right.
So traffic is not an issue for them because they don't get up and have to go to an office, right?
Right.
So that is a part of the conversation is,
cool.
Hey, do you get up and go somewhere to work? So if they're, say, a Boeing employee,
right,
then it's going to be important because, yes, coming from Somerville in the morning, they just have to understand they're probably going to have a little bit longer commute versus if they're coming from North Charleston or West Ashley. It's a different type of commute. So yes, those are conversations that we will have. And I absolutely believe that's part of the lifestyle conversation.
Oh, cool. Yep.
Is, what is important to you? Because some people might say, I don't mind a little traffic. I'll put on a podcast, especially the visionary, Low Country Revolutionaries podcast. And I'm going to listen to hear what who Bill talked to. They may not mind that commute. The funny thing is, some of the top cities that we find people moving from to the Charleston area are like Boston, New York, New Jersey, LA. Yeah. And they laugh at me when I say, now you ought to really check the traffic in this area. And they say, traffic, you don't know what traffic is.
Right. Yes.
So now, I raised our girls in North Mount Pleasant. We moved from there about 4 years ago to the Clements Ferry corridor. Okay. Yet we watched traffic get worse and worse in the Mount Pleasant area. However, what I do know is it is certain times of the day the traffic can be heavy. If you're leaving your home in the morning from North Mount Pleasant, you got to expect that it's going to be a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
Yet at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's not bad at all. You can sometimes make it through without even stopping at a stoplight.
Yes, crazy.
So
right.
it all depends on your lifestyle, when you need to move and when and where you're going. So, but yeah, that's important because again, it might be more important that you find, let's say you really want to be in a school in the Mount Pleasant area. Well, then traffic is just going to be something you're going to have to deal with.
Right. Well, let me ask you, I want to ask you one more question about the book because I'm just really curious about this. It's like, so say you're a first-time home buyer. You don't even know what some of these words are and the things are. Is your book kind of set up where it kind of helps explain to those folks like, hey, here are all the steps of the process. You guys need to know about this. This is going to come later on, so just prepare yourself for it. Does it kind of go through that a little bit?
Yes. And the way we did it was each chapter starts with where you are on the game board.
Oh, cool.
And then it has some questions that it asks you. It's a self-scoring.
Okay.
So you can say, on a scale from 1 to 5, I know, for instance, let's take the lending process. I understand the lending process. I understand who I need to talk to and how this works. You're going to score yourself on each one of those topics. The idea being is there are certain things that a lot of people, and me included, think I might know really well. And then when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, actually, that's something I need to learn. The book was originally written for someone who has never bought or sold real estate before. You're starting fresh, and it's a game of how do I make this a strategic decision-making process. Yet, as we wrote the book, I also incorporated the emotional part, how to negotiate and how to do understand, because some people who have bought and sold many homes before still have questions. They still understand the value of having a realtor to help them through that process. Right. And so I wanted to write the book also for that purpose as well. So, but yes, it is a very good book for somebody who is a first-time home buyer to take you through the entire process.
Now, for some of those folks out there that might be a little, I'll say, hyper competitive, they're going to ask the obvious question. So, how do I beat the game? You know.
Well, and here's the thing, that's the beauty of it. That kind of game, it's not a winner loser game. If you go to a sports game, right? If you're a USC fan or a Clemson fan and you go to a football game, you are really excited if your team wins and you're really disappointed if your team loses, right? The great news about real estate is if it's done correctly, everybody wins.
Well, that's cool.
And so that's what I love about it. There's really no, yes, I'm competitive. And when it comes to negotiations, I tell people all the time, I'm very schizophrenic when it comes to negotiations, because if I'm negotiating for the buyer, I'm trying to get the lowest price.
Right.
And if I'm negotiating for my seller, I'm trying to get the highest price. Exactly. That's very schizophrenic. You've got to be honest, right? Yet when I'm working with my client, it's whatever's best for them. And so, yes, there is some competition. However, when both parties treat each other fairly, they both win.
Yeah.
They both come to the closing table and they say, I feel like we fairly negotiated this deal. I wish I'd have gotten a little bit more money as a seller, yet I think you were very fair when it came to the repairs and some of the things you asked me to do. I feel like you were a good person. Yeah. It can be very tough when you have a situation like, for instance, sadly, I'm very good at helping divorced couples sell a home.
Yeah,
and it's tough. Very hard to win when you have two people who have decided they don't want to be married anymore, and they're having to sell their largest asset, especially when that home is something they've raised their children in, or it has an emotional tie to it.
Right.
And they don't really want to sell, but they have to. I've even had situations where they disliked each other so much I had to use 2 different phones because neither of them wanted to hear the other's voice.
Wow.
And so that's where, a realtor really has to bring a lot of value, is to help negotiate that even between the 2 sellers, if you would.
Yeah.
So again, it all comes down to what's best for the client, and how do we make sure that at the end of this process, that it's not just a transaction.
Yeah.
They actually feel like they won. That it was a good deal all the way around. So, and I also love it when the realtor on the other side is a very educated and value-driven realtor as well, because that certainly does make the transaction go well.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean,
so I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that is awesome. I mean, I love the way you describe this, because, I can tell like you're bringing your experience, management, and human resources into this process, and you're trying to, as much as possible, inject like some humanity in what can be a very dry financial process, but could be also, like you were saying, it could be very emotional and can be scarring if people come out of the other end of this and thinking like, oh my gosh, we made a mistake kind of thing. That's not where anybody wants to come from this. So yeah, that is really awesome you're doing that.
Absolutely. And being in HR, I think that really taught me to be a problem solver. My boss, when I was with Cameron and Barkley, used to call me the fixer. He would say, "Go fix it. Go take care of this."
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think it's either A or B,
right.
when a lot of times it can be M.
Right.
You don't know what the solution is until you sit down and really talk about it. Great example, if you don't mind me sharing, is a transaction I helped with recently where when they did the inspection, it came up that the house had polybutylene pipes in it. Polybutylene pipes have been a concern, and they can be something. So the buyer decided they were going to change these out, and they wanted the seller to basically give them back money to change these out once they bought the home.
Right.
The seller said, I believe I've already given you enough off of the home. I'm not giving you any more.
Right.
So we were sort of at a standstill, the old, standing in the desert facing each other.
Yeah.
The old standoff. And so I said, well, let me ask you, what else is important to you? I was working with the buyer. What else is important to you? And as we discussed it, they said, well, we're going to be doing some gardens. The lot is on the water, and they wanted to do some nice gardens and all that. So I wonder if he would leave the garden tools and the tractors and all those pieces.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's all. The person ended up leaving the generator, the tractor, all the gardening tools, hoses, all of those things. Now, was that $5,000 worth of stuff? I don't know.
Probably.
Yet both parties are happy. It was a great solution.
Yeah.
And we're going to closing. So I do love the idea that you can create win-win transactions. Sometimes it's not about the money.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great solution because, I've moved several times. It's like the most painful thing of moving is usually stuff around garage things or, gardening things or all that. It's just like, okay, could I just leave these here? That's I could see people going, it's like, oh, this is a great solution. This works,
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I've had deals that were almost falling apart. I remember one that almost fell apart because when the person was moving out, they accidentally cut the screen on the back porch.
Oh, yeah.
And the buyer was really upset about a cut. And I thought to myself, that's one panel. I will pay for that. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yet it was a big deal to a buyer. And of course, I would never say to them, oh, get over yourself, because that's what you want to say.
Yeah.
You say, absolutely, we will fix that. That is not a problem.
Yeah, it's a $10 piece of screen and a tool.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, it will be fixed before I sign my documents. And we said, absolutely, we'll take care of that. That's when I strap my tool belt on and we go over and we take care of things.
Oh,
so,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So
it is really fun.
I want to ask, you're doing a lot of great things. You're writing a book. You're being a thought leader. So since you're in the business of advising now, so what advice would you have for entrepreneurs out there in the Charleston area?
I love this question. And I did notice that you asked a lot of your podcast visitors. I think it's very important as one that you have to understand that being an entrepreneur is a double-edged sword, right? If you're successful, it's you. If you're not successful, it's you. And I had a neighbor who I grew up with. He used to tell me all the time, John, the world is run by C students. And what he meant by that, I figured out later, is it's not always the smartest person that wins. It's the person that never quits.
Right.
They get in, they figure it out, they create solutions, they create something that has value. And they never, ever give up. And I know that things that I'm doing today are not going to pay off for about 90 days or more. And so if I stop doing lead generation, networking, helping other people, then 90 days from now, I'm going to have a lull in my business. So I have to keep going out. I tell people all the time, you got to go out and shake the bushes. You got to go out and talk to people.
Yeah.
And I have also figured out, whether you call it sowing and reaping, whether you call it karma, whether you call it the universe, it doesn't matter. Everything you put out is going to come back to you.
Right.
And so I tell people, go around and be a good finder and a fixer. Go help people take care of the things they need. Because, one of my favorite mentors is Zig Ziglar, who used to say, if you help enough other people get what they need in life, you'll never have to worry about what you need in life. And what I figured out that means is the more you do for others, the more they want to do for you.
Right.
But you don't have to think, it's not something and if you do it for the right reason, in other words, I don't go out there and do things for other people with the expectation of them doing things for me.
Right.
I do them because I know that the more I sow into their lives, their businesses, their families, whatever, the more is going to come back to me. And it is a fun thing to watch.
Yeah.
So I think those are the three things that I would say for entrepreneurs. Just never give up, sow into others and sow into fix things, be a solution finder, and understand that it's you no matter what.
Right.
You got to get up every day and go shake those bushes.
Yeah. I love that. That is some great advice. I mean, it really resonates, being able to go out and help people. That's very satisfying. It's a win. Whether you make any money or not, you've done something, you've succeeded. And so, I fully believe in this thing is success brings success. So do simple things like you advised, and that will bring you success in my view. So I appreciate that, Jon.
And if you don't mind me adding,
sure.
I like the word advise, yet I like the word connect better. And so I love to be a connector.
Right.
I love it when somebody calls me and says, do you know someone who, fill in that blank, someone who does this, someone who does that. Love it. Because if I don't know somebody in that position, if it's a plumber or an electrician, obviously that is my job, right? So I'm going to have those. But if somebody calls me and says, do you know somebody who does, let's say, web design?
Right. Well,
let's say I didn't know somebody. I do know somebody who knows somebody, and I'm going to find that, and I'm going to make that connection. I always tell people, I actually find it a really, really huge compliment when someone calls me and asks me if I know, or what is my opinion on a best, say, Thai restaurant.
Right.
When I can say, oh, I really love Basil Thai. That's one of my favorite ones. But if it's for lunch, I love the Thai restaurant over in West Ashley. Name's escaping me for a moment. It'll come to me. But, that to me is a huge win because they trusted me enough to ask me a simple question.
Yeah.
Something that, can I get your advice on this?
Right.
That means a lot to me. It means they trust me and I trust them. And I love that. So being a connector in this world is, I think, really, really important in our entrepreneurial space. That's cool. Several of the people that you've interviewed also go to 1 Million Cups. That's something I've been going to since December of 2016. And you want to talk about an amazing group of entrepreneurs or people who support entrepreneurs. Though that's my people. That's the people I love hanging
that's
out
awesome.
with, because I learned so much from them, listening to them and interacting with them, doing coffee with them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, coffee is important. I lived in Italy for a year. I'm completely addicted to espresso, and as we call it, coffee. So
nice.
Yes, coffee brings life and brings people together. So absolutely.
Yes, but first coffee. I understand.
But first coffee. Yeah. Well, Jon, this has been a pleasure. We should do it again sometime. It sounds like you've got a lot of good stories. So come back on if you want to do an HR story or. Tell me about all the amazing things that's happened since you put the book out. We'll do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a consummate entrepreneur, I have a couple other things that I'm doing.
Oh, cool.
One, I've got an old 65 Mustang convertible that I'm doing weddings. So, I'd love to come back on and chat about some of the other fun stuff. And Bill, thanks so much for allowing me to focus on my business and Jon Stroud. I really appreciate that you do this. What a blessing this has been. But I also want to do coffee with you and learn about your business and how I can help you, because that's really what this is all about. So let's, even if we do that as a podcast, maybe I can interview you.
Oh, that'd be fun.
We can turn this around. I'll interview you on your podcast. How about that?
I like that. That's a deal. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
you're in for a
Set
wild
it up.
ride.
We'll do it.
You're in for a wild ride.
I would love it.
All right.
I would love it.
All right. Talk
Thanks
to you
again,
later,
Bill.
sir. That's a wrap for this episode of the Low Country Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Bellot, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of low country innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.